Texas loses this one 5-2. It's open mic time. Joining me is Bad Radio's Bob Sturm. You can hear him Thank you so much.
Meet you with a handshake. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. I didn't know what to do there.
Oh, no, it's all good. Every weekday from noon to 3, you can hear Bob Sturm on 1310 and now Crystal Clear 96.7 FM, The Ticket. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
Very nice to be here.
So, manic depression might be setting in for all of us who watch Team USA. Josie Altidore did not play. Cristiano Ronaldo, we weren't sure what was going to happen with his knee, but he turned out to be the difference today.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it's a situation where you are devastated because you felt like you had a victory. And it was so close, and it was right there until the very end. But really, if we offer just a little perspective on this thing, I think everyone should be pretty over the moon about 4 points through 2 matches. That Portugal team is a better team than the United States. If they played 10 times, the U.S. is going to have a hard time winning twice. And for the U.S. to play so well is fantastic. But don't lose sight of the opponent. Don't lose sight of what Ronaldo's capable of, and to get a draw, as much as it hurts, it's fantastic. And win would be better. And I was standing in my living room ready to, you know, to airbox quite a bit in 30 more seconds. But and it's a little disappointing, but all in all, I think everyone has to be pretty pleased.
Do you feel like this can be a good tune-up for Germany?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Germany definitely has the quality to win the entire World Cup. So, yeah, it puts you in a spot where a draw gets you through, a Portugal-Ghana draw. I mean, you went through the scenarios. But here's the thing. Going into Thursday, going into the last day of group play in one of the toughest, if not the toughest group in the World Cup, the U.S. has a number of scenarios that play in their favor. They don't need 15 things to line up right. They just need one of the 4 or 5 things to go their way. If they all go wrong on Thursday, you took your best shot. But they're in a great spot, as great a spot as really anyone who's reasonable with their expectations could have expected.
Let's move on to the Cowboys. And if you thought Sean Lee's season-ending injury would serve as a continuation of last year's tragically bad defense, leave it up to Jerry Jones to offer some optimism.
What gives you confidence that you will be better on defense without any proven performance?
Because we were so bad last year, there's no place but up.
Okay.
Well, a new defensive coordinator, much younger defensive line. Bob, do you think that's enough to avoid last place?
Well, you know, that we are shuffling the cards for sure, and it does appear, unfortunately, that to a certain extent, their best strategy will be hope that everyone gets better, and Bruce Carter and Mo Claiborne and Brandon Carr are all better players than they were. Losing Sean Lee is devastating. We all know that, but losing Sean Lee and Jason Hatcher and DeMarcus Ware for various financial concerns, that's really your 3 best players off a really bad defense. So it requires some real fuzzy math, Edward, to have one of your worst defenses in NFL history, take away the 3 best players and say, ta-da, it'll be better. That's a tough sell. I like some of the things they've done, but to expect gigantic strides is probably drinking a little too much Kool-Aid, I would say.
Blue Kool-Aid.
Perhaps, yes.
All right, so let's talk about the backup quarterback situation. Since 2007, Tony Romo has not played in every single game for each season. So this backup conversation is very important. If Kyle Orton is not there, are you comfortable with Brandon Weeden being the number 2?
Yeah, well, I mean, now we have to lower the bar, of course. When your backup quarterback's in the game, you're saying to yourself, if he's in for a month, we need to get 2 wins out of that. You're hoping. The reason backup quarterbacks are paid what they are and are backup quarterbacks is you're just hoping in a 4-game stretch they can go 2-2. I think Weeden can do that probably. I think the longer he would be in there, the more diminishing the returns would be. He's not horrible. In fact, he was really good in college. He had some moments in Cleveland, did not have a lot to work with. But really, the bigger issue to me goes back to Romo. And all the reports we get this time of year of how great he's feeling. Oh, he's sneaking on the field. What a crazy guy. He's doing all sorts of things. He's feeling like $1 million. The fact is, in September, when opponents without mercy, try to knock him out of the game and out of the season, that's when we will fully know how good his back is, and that's really the whole key to this entire team.
And offensive line protection will be especially important as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
So let's talk about the NBA now. Dirk Nowitzki will be a free agent, but that's likely a technicality. He's always maintained he wants to stay in Dallas. Dirk has said he wants a 2 to 3 year deal and is expecting contract negotiations to go by quickly.
We all know I don't really want to go anywhere. Cubes doesn't want me to go anywhere, so it's a perfect situation. I've been here for 16 seasons, so I'd love to obviously retire here in this community. Got a lot of new friends and fans, and so I'm hopeful that we'll get a deal done quick where both sides are happy with, and then want to get better again. You know, we made the playoffs this year, and we pushed the Spurs to 7. It was a good year. But there's always room to improve. There's always room to be a higher seed. So it's another big off season for us, and we'll see what Mark and Donnie can pull off.
Now, perhaps the miracle to end all miracles would be for the Mavs to acquire Carmelo Anthony. He's opting out of his final year of his current contract with the Knicks. What are the odds Dallas pulls this one off?
Yeah, I don't really see it. I don't.
Really?
I would say the odds are extremely low. I would love to be wrong. You know, we've been playing this game of what are the chances, what are the odds that they can go get which big ticket guy. In 2012, we played that game with Darren Williams. 2013, it was the Dwight Howard turn. Now in 2014, I guess it's Carmelo and so forth. And heck, why not LeBron? You know, I am not a great admirer of Carmelo's, although I certainly recognize his talent as a franchise guy. I don't.
Does he need to be in the right system?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you know what he needs is a coach. I don't know that Carmelo Anthony has ever allowed himself to be coached, and I think maybe since Jim Boeheim, as you show some fabulous moments from his from a long time ago. But but in the pro game, I think he's always kind of been his own coach and kind of. I mean, he can fill it up. I just don't know that he necessarily understands what it takes to be a winning alpha male in this league.
Well, Pau Gasol reportedly may be a target for the Mavericks. Do you feel like that might be more realistic and fill more needs for the Mavericks?
It might be realistic, but I'd love to know the need it fills on defense at least, because you know, as much as we worship Dirk, we know defense is his problem. So to put next to him a guy who is equally bad on defense, then we're going to have to score a lot of points. And we kind of saw this when Chris Kaman was here. So to me, Marc Gasol sounds really good, but Memphis isn't getting rid of him. What they need, though, is a defensive presence, whether that's at the 3 or at the 5. Kind of Tyson Chandler, if it was 4 years ago. I'm not sure Tyson Chandler can do that now, but they need defense. Gasol is nice and at the right price if you can bring him in off the bench and flip minutes with Dirk, but I doubt that his price has fallen that far.
Well, let's talk a little hockey, and if Mike Modano is not a first-ballot Hall of Famer, then this whole thing is a sham, if you don't mind me saying so. We all know of his career accomplishments, but what's the one thing that should make Mike Modano a Hall of Famer?
Well, I would say there's a number of things. The first thing that jumps out when you talk about the Hockey Hall of Fame, though, is probably the greatest American hockey player of all time. I think Chris Chelios would have something to say about that with complete players, but statistically speaking, Mike Modano is the most prolific player this game has ever seen from the United States of America, so that probably gets you in. Also #1 in the draft, and of course winning a cup and being one of those guys who I thought he was one of 3, and we can debate who's greater than who, but one of 3 centermen on 3 powers in the Western Conference, and Steve Yzerman, Mike Modano, and Joe Sakic for about 10, 15 years running in a row, and they were all right there, and you know what? Dallas ended up with Modano. I'm sure Denver was happy with Sakic. I'm sure Detroit was happy with Yzerman, but I'm not sure any of those cities are trading the one for the other, because they were all legendary and they all belong in the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure they will all be there.
They better be.
Yeah.
Again, otherwise it's a sham. Now, the same season the Stars retire Modano's #9, they end the playoff drought. Was a painful way they ended that playoff run to the Ducks, losing in Game 6. But what do the Stars need to do this offseason to make you feel like they can get past the first round?
Well, you know, again, not to sound like I'm talking the U.S. men's national team, but just making the playoffs was a great accomplishment this year. And so moving forward, they do need to continue to add. There's debate on what's more important, a second center center to help out Tyler Seguin, or a alpha male defenseman, which, by the way, doesn't grow on trees. I think the Stars are really in a great spot right now. They have all the money in the world. They appear to have an aggressive owner, and they have an aggressive general manager. And so if there was a team in this city where you said, you know what, I need to jump on this bandwagon before it leaves the station too far, I think the Dallas Stars are going to be doing a lot of winning in the next couple of years, because it seems like the table is set to add to Ben, Seguin, and the group, and really make this a special team for the next 5 or 6 years.
And it really seems like of the 4 major pro teams in Dallas, they seem to be the best equipped to win a championship the soonest, right?
Yeah, well, probably. I think the Rangers could bounce back, but what the Stars have is an incredible group of guys all at that perfect age, and maybe I'm not going to argue that they have the Cowboys at the triplet stage in their young 20s, but Seguin and Ben and Dylan and so many of these players, Nichushkin, they're all babies still, and so they're growing into their prime. If they all get there and you add the right pieces around them, yeah, it could be really special.
I'll let you go on this. Who is Bob Slurm?
I believe that is the alternate name for me. I think it's a Fox cartoon, isn't it? Slurm. I believe so. Forgive me. Futurama. I believe it's from Futurama.
Yes.
So Keith Olbermann got into a little bit of a fight with me on Twitter. He was wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And
well, you're here.
It's my burden to be right. And so he used an alternate spelling of my name, and I'm Bob Slurm. So I think now on Olbermann's show on ESPN, when he does golf highlights, it's Bob Slurm.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Slow putt on the 13th hole.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Yeah.
He blocked me on Twitter, but that doesn't make him a bad guy. He was in my dorm. I don't know about you, Edward, but in my dorm, Olbermann was royalty. I might be older
for
though.
the Democrats in my dorm, he was.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, he was doing Sports Center. I don't know what year you were in college. But for me, it was like 94.
Sure. Bob Sturm. No, not at all. Bob Sturm, host of Bad Radio on the Ticket, noon to 3 every weekday on 1310 and 96.7 Crystal Clear FM.
Awesome. Do we end with another handshake?
Sure, why not?
This is nice.
Yeah, it's a deal.
All right, nice.
Cool deal.
Good times.
Thank you so much. Let's move on. Ahead on Sports Sunday, our call of the week and why a local basketball star is retiring before his professional career even began. And a classy gesture one Cowboys